Oh, heck yeah. You can set everything, your intention, right, as you wish. Starts ahead of time. No. Yeah, I get and understand that. It's a very different world. Okay, so what we're going to do is, my mic's right here. We'll hook you up. All right, so you're going to be on channel, it's coming off of your channel 1. Yeah. Do you need a mic check by chance? Everybody got one? Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are here at the corner of Cold Spring and 83, where we saw a massive fire last night. Luckily, it smells great. Okay, could be worse. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're good? Okay. We don't look anything like I've heard.
That definitely has a
pressure crowd. I don't see the mayor.
It might be in the back row.
We had the video on that one. Yeah, he did. He just took a little taller.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, y'all.
I'll record on the camera.
Yeah. Because I'm taking photos.
Everybody good? All right, good afternoon. My name is James Wallace. I'm the chief of the Baltimore City Fire Department. We're here to kind of give you a midday update on where we are now. Just to recap real quick, this incident kicked off last night about 5:15. It started off as a dispatch for a brush fire. As our units arrived, they did encounter a large pile of logs that were on fire. It was rapidly spreading. This was a wind-driven event, and it somewhat still does remain a wind-driven event. Throughout the night, we've continued fire suppression activities, but what we've done in addition overnight, and we continue to do today, is we now have very heavy equipment in. We have front-end loaders, we have excavators, we have a bulldozer working down there. So we're in the process of attempting to not only secure a ring around the fire, which I think they've done by way of just clearing ground cover, but also begin to kind of condense the pile so that we begin to continue to reduce the fire spread threat. And they continue to apply a lot of water in there just to keep the embers down. I believe this will likely continue to smolder for a couple of days. We're still very challenged by the wind. And our firefighters, as well as by the cold weather. We have a lot of ice down there that they're having to deal with, so we do have a lot of challenges. I am happy to say that we believe at this point we don't have damage to critical infrastructure around the area. So what does that look like? Any structures in the area, obviously the Cold Spring Lane Bridge, the Vinegar Distillery, the BG&E substation, the light rail, and very importantly, the catenary line. So we've been able to, we continue to be able to keep that contained. I do want to thank not only the governor's office, Mayor Scott and his office, but a lot of our mutual aid partners. Multiple counties around the region not only sent resources to the incident to support the BCFD in the city, but also backfilled fire stations. As you probably know, we had numerous other fires last night in the city, dwelling fires. So a lot of the counties that sent resources in to backfill our stations actually engaged fires in the city as well. So we are just incredibly grateful, again, to the governor's office, the mayor, his office, and all of our mutual aid partners for all the support we've gotten. Finally, to the corporate community. We've had a lot of outreach, a lot of food has been brought to the scene. 7-Eleven just left here. Their franchise and their corporate side is 7-Eleven. They brought a lot of food, as have other businesses in the area. It's fed a lot of our firefighters, a lot of our DOT, DPW workers. Again, on behalf of the fire department and our Mayor Brandon Scott.
Thank you, Chief Wallace. And first and foremost, let me again thank Chief Wallace, everyone at Baltimore City Fire Department, all of our county partners, our state partners that came here. We cannot thank them enough, not just for what they did here, but to help backfill. As you know, we were battling multiple fires across the city last night. When I left here shortly after 1 a.m. last night, we have been making tremendous progress, and we can see that progress continues today. I just finished touring the site with Chief Wallace, and we know that they've done a great job to contain this fire. I think one of the most important things that you can hear from anyone today is that even with that raging fire that you all saw behind us last night, critical infrastructure seems to have no damage. That is a huge thing for all of us, and we also to any of our personnel who are out here fighting the fire. I also want to thank all of our other city agencies, DPW, Rec and Parks, DOT, who were here supporting. Have to again thank the governor and his team for showing up, making sure that we had everything that we needed at our disposal. Just a few other updates here just for folks. Want to make sure, of course, Poly and Western were closed today. City schools took the additional step to closing Medfield Heights Elementary as of noon today because of air quality concerns in the building. City schools will be scrubbing the air in Poly, Western, and Medfield over the weekend with the hopes of having them open back up under normal operations on Monday. Rec and Parks closed the Medfield Recreation Center today due to air quality concerns and will reoperate on Monday for their normal operating hours from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. The light rail in place to transport riders, and there is a detour of the 28 that comes across a Cold Spring Lane. And due to freezing temperatures and the amount of water on the roadways around the fire, DOT still has salt trucks staged and will be salting roads prior to the reopening of Cold Spring. As the fire becomes fully extinguished, we'll be working to remove the debris from Camp Small and open their operations as quickly as possible, but it's way too early for us to share a timeline for that. And again, I want to thank everyone who came out, who poured out, who showed up for the fire department, and all our first responders here and springing into action. And I know the only fire residents were hoping to see last night was the monument fireworks, but we really appreciate everyone's patience and understanding as they mitigated the traffic and all the conditions, and understanding with a raging fire, but also with the winds that we had. We could not safely have fireworks last night in the city. Thank you.
As always, we're going to go down the line. Let's start over here with box number 5.
Do you have any idea what caused this fire?
We do not, and until we can actually make that scene safe down in there, our investigators are not going to be able to get down in there and work. That'll be an ongoing investigation for us. At this time, we do not.
WMAR.
We're over here. That's the last one.
So we always want to try to let the infrastructure get reestablished, right, as much as possible. But we also have to make sure when we do it, we keep it safe for our people to work. We're still using a lot of water down in that lower end. And you also see the supply lines down here. These are just safety measures. That way, if that fire does flare up, we're able to get water right back to where we need it to be. We have concerns over that, but I've got to make sure that we mitigate this fire as well. So, you know, our priority is keeping this incident where it is and further reducing it.
WBAF.
Thank you. Chief, could you kind of rehash how do you guys approach a fire like this? What burned, and was any of it treated? Would that complicate things as well?
So, what was burning? They were logs, trees, logs, and I believe that when trees are down in the city and things like that, this is where they bring them and this is where they stage them. They're stacked, just to kind of paint a picture for you. There's one road that kind of weaves through down there, and they're stacked about 30 feet high, and the trees are about 30 feet long along that road, and then you get back into a larger staging area. The challenge was there was a lot of fire right along the road when they got in there. So with one means of ingress, egress, we had to start working our way in. We couldn't get behind it and come out. If we'd had a collapse, we'd have people cut off. So it was a huge challenge. I have no indication that anything was treated. If you're referencing like treated lumber, things like that, I don't have an indication, and I did not see anything myself. And the mayor and I have been down there several times. I see no indication of any type of treated lumber down there.
It's a hindsight question.
Just Dave, just to follow up, Director Moore wants to just give you more about Camp Small itself and what they.
So, Camp Small is our recycling location, as Chief Wallace stated. When there's storms, when trees go down, instead of adding those trees to our landfill, we bring them here, we recycle those trees. In some cases, we use those trees to create wood mulch that we give to the communities. Also, we use those trees to create wood slats that we're using in our rec centers. So what we're trying to do is become a zero waste agency in city, so that we can utilize our trees and keep them active in our city and not just throw them in our landfill and let them rot out. Repurpose them and reuse them.
And this is arguably an armchair quarterback kind of question, but was there any consideration taken to put in some precautions or protections, because we've been through a really long drought?
Well, I think what I would say, Dave, is I think, yes, that is a Friday morning quarterback type of question, right? We know that these kind of facilities, lumber facilities, exist all around the country. We know that we'll be looking to see that after the fire department completes their investigation about that kind of stuff. But we know that these facilities exist similar to this all around, not just Baltimore City, not just around Maryland, but around the country, right? And we know, unfortunately, that fires happen. We do not yet know, we won't know until we get there how this happened. But right now, I think the story is that we saw that raging fire behind us last night that abuts with all the woods you see, that abuts a housing going that way, with a school here, with other places there, with embers flying in the air, with a light rail system, with a bridge, an interstate highway, and none of that was impacted because of the fine work of the firefighters that were out here. That's the story today.
And Mayor Scott, just to follow up on that, a fire has happened at this facility before. I wonder, did you guys have a plan in case a fire were to happen, and did that also help the firefighters to continue to mitigate this issue from coming here?
Well, I'll just say this, and I'll turn it over to Chief Wallace because him and Director Moore were here very, very early on. Listen, we got this call for 911 from a Rec and Parks employee, right? And that's why we train our employees to do just that, even though they have the ability to communicate with their brother and sister agencies, and they were able to get here as quickly as possible, and that's what we want to do, because you can have all the best plans and emergency plans as we do in agency, but we also need people to use regular common sense to get the calls made so that we can have the people here. I'll let the Chief and Director Moore talk more about what happened exactly in this case.
Yeah, so I can speak to the actual fire itself. Anytime we deploy a dwelling fire, a fire like this, any type of situation like that, there's always comes a tactical plan to address not only what we're seeing right now, but what we think we're going to be seeing in the subsequent hours, right? You've all heard me talk about that before, and that's what they did last night. The wind is a challenge, and as the mayor said, no matter how we pre-plan things, we've always got that variable of weather, and they had to deal with that last night. I think another big takeaway from this is we had all these agencies here from the city. We had resources from other counties. We've all trained together, but we deployed a force down in there, and we've been able to successfully mitigate this, and we're walking away from this with no injuries. And it speaks to the command and control that the BCFD command team had, but it also speaks to the efforts, the coordinated efforts of the firefighters, but the individual efforts of each firefighter that was here to not only get this under control and preserve infrastructure, but to walk away from this without an injury. It's been a very safe operation, and I'm extraordinarily proud of my command staff and everybody, all the firefighters that were here. It was just an amazing effort.
We'll open it up to any other questions we got.
Just for clarity, the person who employee that called 911, they were at Camp Small.
Yeah. Yes, thank you.
Can you describe the 911 call at all? So we can record it?
We don't have it.
Not at this time. We haven't got to that point yet, but not at this time.
In terms of moving forward and rebuilding, just how much damage was done to the yard and
Tremendous amounts of damage. If you weren't here, if you saw the flames and the views that you see from over here, it's tremendous damage. And after the fire department is done, Rec and Parks and everyone else will be looking. We'll be doing the analyzation to see how we move forward. But it's tremendous damage to something that people use consistently.
And the plan is to rebuild.
To reopen, not rebuild, to reopen. Yes. Yes.
Any other questions you got?
Thank you, everybody.
The documentary.